Hello, beautiful family. How are you all doing? Thank you for the love and the support. So, my beautiful people, today I will come to share with you what that's normally say shall never end. Look, this is Progress the Analyst, and here I keep you updated. I touch light on the latest happening and I bring reality to your doorstep. So, without not wasting much of your time, let us dive into the reason why we're here. So today, November 20th, 2025, something happened today in Nigeria. The Federal High Court just sentenced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, life imprisonment for words spoken from foreign soil after they have cascaded him from Kenya, ignoring a UN ruling demanding his release and persecuting him under a law that no longer exists. This is unbelievable, but a lot of people have different views and different opinion to what just happened or to the pronunciation from the judge. Now, I want you to listen to the lawyer that addressed the world globally on this issue, and I'll be right back.
Good evening, all of us of freedom. My name is Nnaemeka. I'm one of the lawyers to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Today, we had what we call travesty of justice. Today, freedom was slaughtered on the altar of justice. Today, we cry, we mourn, not because we lost, but because we strongly believe that justice was not done in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, in the course of reading the judgment by His Lordship, Honorable Justice James Omotosho, several things came to mind. One of the substantial things that came to mind was the fact that Honorable Justice James Omotosho gave judgment convicting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on the basis of the evidence of people who were not present, who did not participate in the entire scenario that led to this case. For instance, all the witnesses that appeared before him were State Security Service operatives who were not present at the events. They claim, for instance, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast caused destruction of properties in the southeast, caused the killings of people, the killing of somebody like Ahmed Gulag. Now the question is this: how was it possible that His Lordship can come to such conclusion when no single person was arrested for any of the destructions in the southeast? How can my Lord come to such conclusion when no single person was presented before him as somebody who participated in the killing of Gulag? For all we know, those who killed Gulag may have killed Gulag for their own personal reasons. But the DSS, in their evidence, claimed that the doctor who wrote the autopsy said Gulag was killed by IPOB. And the doctor was not called to give evidence. And these are police doctors. In other words, they are doctors of the prosecution. They are doctors who came who work with the prosecutor. So such doctors or such reports cannot be said to be without bias. What we expected was for them to have brought the person who conducted the autopsy, the person who wrote the medical report, to say, yes, I wrote the medical report. Then we can cross-examine him on the basis of the reports he wrote. We cannot ask him, how did you know that this man was killed by IPOB members? There was no human being who was present at the killing, even though those who were present at the killing are alive. Even though the Nigerian police and the SSS took statements from them, they did not present them to court to testify as to what they actually saw. Rather, we had DSS officers who claimed that they investigated the incident. And when we requested for the investigation report, they could not present one single investigation report. So you see that all these stories are concocted stories. All these stories are hearsay stories. And unfortunately, His Lordship relied on them to find conviction against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and awarded a life imprisonment. Now, it's so ridiculous because justice is supposed to be seen to be done. You do not do justice like as if you are in Nollywood. Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen, so that the ordinary man on the street can look at it and say, yes, this is indeed just. But in this case, the ordinary man in the street is flabbergasted, overwhelmed, surprised, shocked, rudely shocked by the fact that you could bring in witnesses. You could bring in witnesses who were not at the scene of event and still, with their testimony, with their hearsay testimonies, convict a man. And another thing, they claim Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made broadcasts, and it was the broadcast that caused this issue. That broadcast, did my Lord ask where those broadcasts were made? Was there any evidence as to the origin or where the broadcasts were made? The broadcasts in question were made in London. You arrest a man for making a broadcast in London, even though in London such broadcasts are not offenses. In Nigerian law, we have what we call the double jeopardy law, whereby if you want to try me on an offense that I committed outside the shores of this country, such offenses, double criminality, such offenses must also be a crime in the country where I am alleged to have committed them. If, for instance, in London, broadcast is legal, and I make my broadcast in London, which is legal, why would I be convicted in Nigeria for what I did in a country where it is legal? So that's the. There are so many questions that His Lordship Justice Omotosho failed to answer and failed to extract from the prosecution. I don't want to say that he was railroaded into delivering such judgment. I don't want to use such words. I respect the court. I cannot use such words. But I must say that such judgments tastes bad to the senses and to the mouth. And it is my prayer that when we approach the Court of Appeal, we will find substantial justice, not technical justice like we had at the Federal High Court. So all of us of freedom, relax. We are strongly going to battle this at the Court of Appeal. And I can assure you that in the Court of Appeal, there is hope. There will be substantial justice. We will get back our rights. We will make sure that Nnaemeka's rights are well protected. And I believe that, they say 3 heads are better than 1. I want to show you just 1 head. In the Court of Appeal, we have 3 justices. So 3 will always be better than 1. And I can assure you that the justices we will meet, by the grace of God, will be better than what we had at the Federal High Court. So all of us of freedom in Biafra land, remain calm, remain coordinated, remain focused. Don't remove your eyes from the ball. Let your eyes be on the ball. We are going to where we are going. And like I always say, this is Suruke the dance. The dance of the spirit. It's in the heart. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is Jude. I'm one of the lawyers to Nnaemeka. Onyundu. We normally call him Onyundu. He's our leader. We're in court today. And he has several applications, particularly the one insisting that his right to final written address, guaranteed under section 294, subsection 1 of the Constitution, be allowed him, that even if the court insists on foreclosing his right to defend the matter, he has given evidence, and that is the position of the Supreme Court, that once you have cross-examined the prosecution witnesses, you are deemed to have given evidence, in which case you have the right to sum your evidence by way of final written address. Imagine now told the court that even if you are committed to determine the case without my defense, I want to file final written address on 2 grounds. During trial, your Lordship said that any objection to the admissibility of the documents tendered before your Lordship can only be agitated and addressed in the final written address. I have not done that. I want to do it in the final written address. Number 2, I did not waive my right to final written address. If the prosecution waived their own, that is peculiar to them. But insofar as I did not testify and I've rested my case on that of the prosecution, I should be allowed to tell the court the relevance of my cross-examination questions, the answers of the witnesses of the prosecution, and the effect on my freedom. But the court insisted that he will not listen to him, and in a haste dismissed all applications and then intended to proceed on judgment. And the man said, you cannot do this. That is not what the law says. You have not given me the law that allows you to deliver judgment without giving me my opportunity of addressing the court on my defense. And the court said no, and then proceeded to give judgment. In giving this judgment, the court convicted Nnaemeka on the 7 count charges. But in convicting him on all the counts, the court failed to make a statement at least once on the validity and sufficiency of the discrediting of the witnesses of the prosecution. They were cross-examined by a learned senior advocate of Nigeria, particularly Chief Kanagabi, a former attorney general of the Federation, Chief Onyekwaso, a professor of law, a renowned jurist. But these questions, for instance, if I may give you an instance, they talked of importation of transmitter, and Onyekwaso asked under cross-examination, did you get any document or evidence from the customs department to show that there was no lawful importation of it? And the person said no, and there was no such evidence. But the court proceeded to convict without in any manner evaluating the evidence of that cross-examination, without allowing him to file final address, and hastily said this person is an international terrorist. That's an opinion, and that tells us how biased everything could be. But as lawyers, it is left for us to get the record of proceeding, study it, and go to the next level. However they want it, our law is that no matter the nature of the offense for which you are charged, you have the right to defend yourself and right to appeal against any conviction. They may look at it that he's unruly. He may be unruly, I may agree to that. But there are circumstances warranting his conduct. This is a man that was arrested in 2015. His prosecution started. The court granted him bail in 2017 in spite of objections. He was at his hometown. He was attacked. They wanted to kill him. And he ran away for his life and physical well-being. Going to a court of appeal. Court of appeal said, under the law, the Terrorism Prevention and Protection Act, Section 76, subsection 1 paragraph D, that you cannot arrest this man from Kenya and rendition him to Nigeria without due process of law. That renders the whole proceeding invalid. And they went to the Supreme Court. And within the time they went to Supreme Court, out of time, from the time of conviction, the time of the decision of the Court of Appeal, to the time they went to the Supreme Court, this man was in detention, even when there was no law holding him. They further went to court and got an order for stay of execution to ensure that Mazi is not released. I do not know of any law in Nigeria that allows a stay of execution applicable in civil matter to criminal proceedings. But that happened, and that is the peculiarity of our case. We went to the Supreme Court, challenged it, and the Supreme Court said, okay, let us first of all determine the validity of his arrest and detention. They now said the arrest and rendition to Nigeria, though illegal, that his remedy is a civil suit by way of fundamental right enforcement. But that it does not matter, he should still undergo his defense, his prosecution. But that whatever objection he has, he can raise it at the trial court. He has come to court, he is not a lawyer, and he said, even during pleading, arraignment, he said, I do not understand the charges for which I stand trial. If you explain the charges, I will defend myself. And then he went further to say, these laws are repealed. And of course, the court admitted the laws today. The trial court admitted that they were repealed. If you tell me the law under which I'm charged and the validity thereof, I will defend myself. Effectively, it was not told to him. He was meant to defend himself without knowing it. And he said, I don't do that. The court foreclosed. Let us say the foreclosure is right. He has come to file a motion before the court that I have my right to defend myself. I have the right to file final address. Please allow me to file final address so that I articulate my point and you make your decision. The court refused and ordered that he should be removed, sent out of the court. That was what happened, and the court now gave the judgment with several appealable grounds. Our prayer is that the Federal Republic of Nigeria should not be emotional over this case. It is possible he's wrong, it is possible he's right. But either way, government should allow due process of law, look at the evidence. If there is appeal, look at the record of proceeding and know whether his right to fair hearing was denied him, and whether the proceeding was done in line with the law, and whether this trial complied with the law. If, for instance, the law or the offense for which he is alleged to have violated overseas, which the publication is said to be overseas, is not shown to have been an offense in those countries, my brother, the little I know of law is that it will not stand, because the Attorney General of Justice has to show that the offenses for which he stands trial are also offenses in the foreign countries at which the publications were made. That is Nigerian law. It is in section 76, boldly written jurisdiction. If they say they don't bother about those ones, then we come to the issue of this repeal, that this man said this law has been repealed. The court today now said there are savings clauses. There are savings clauses. But the authorities that limited the scope of applicability of saving clauses. And that is why the convict now wanted the court to say, this is the position of the law, but there's a saving clause, so that the court will be addressed on the validity or the strength of the saving clauses. So my brothers, people should not panic. It's a gloomy day, it's a bad day for us. We are almost mourning. Igbo land is mourning, but I assure you that in law or in literature we say we have reached the climax. There must be an intervention and we go to the Duma. God will save us and we will come out. If President Tinubu says that he will not interfere with due process of law, that is his right. That is the law. This is the time for him to interfere. If he understands that the issue of terrorism or whatever allegation is not peculiar to Igbo land, it happens across Nigeria, and our own is not different. This is the time for him to intervene. For whatever reason, he said he cannot interfere with due process of law. Today, the due process of law is completed. Whether we go on appeal or we don't go on appeal, this is the time for him to act, and act well, for the benefit of Nigeria, for the peace of the country, and for the understanding of his governance. May God bless us and bless Nigeria in general.
So my beautiful family, that brings us to the end of this update. Do to like the video, share and subscribe. I still know me, I want and only Progress the analyst, and I'm here to keep you updated. Thank you so much and bye for now.